Oh, there we go. Finally. Oh my God, the pressure. What's going on? Good morning, everybody. Getting up in just a second. Major YouTube fail this morning, but it seems to be recovering. Hello. We will be up in just 1 second as I test everything. Yes, I think the deep state was after me. I think a lot of people are aware of that. It's a very strong possibility. All right, why our the comments window doesn't want to work, but that's okay. Interview is on, so Tara will be able to get in here when she arrives, which is great. All right, and then we got to go into preview mode. Make sure everything is working. Looks good. Take this out. None. Take that shadow off. Yeah, why not? I'm just going to build the show until Tara gets here and just enjoy myself. Let's see. Let me jump through to... I have to publish this so I can see you guys. There we go. Now I can fade this out. I think you guys have been hearing the music, and I think you can hear my voice. And I think. We shall see what we shall see. That in the interim, let me put this up here so I can see what screen is live and when. So where did you go? Oh, that's why my monitors have been rearranged. Chip, I'm kidding. Chip has not messed with my setup at all. Welcome to the show, by the way. It's Hal Sparks Mornings, Megaworldwide / Hal Sparks Mondays, Megaworldwide. And there have been few Mondays, more Monday than this one. Please forgive me if I had to crawl under my desk and see what was wired to what, again, very early. For the old intro song, I understand. Yes, I was definitely tweaking again. Not in the capacity that you guys think, I would like to say for the record. Okay, let me see if I can bring in... There's me in the chat. Excellent. Okay, locate the file. It's been doing this all morning. It doesn't know where anything is, but that's okay. I'm going to double-click this. And we're going to choose me as the video source. And we're going to take these square. We're going to make it wide. And we're also going to take away the border, and we're also going to, let's see, green screen and transparent and no shadow. That's what we don't do. We want a shadow. Nope. And then I will stretch myself down here. You guys can't see what's going on, but trust me, it's worth it. Publish. There we are. Hey, it's you guys. Look at that. It's the chat room. Although the text is smaller than I would like. I'm going to have to remedy that somehow. Figure it out. Piece by piece. Good morning. Welcome to the show. I'm just reattaching the show where it was cut from its umbilical last week, where we were getting that crusty audio thing. You know how they always say, hey, the most important thing in a broadcast, no matter what, is the audio itself. That it is listenable and it is tolerable and it is of quality of some sort. And then everything else dovetails behind that. Well, apparently that fell apart in how I would bring guests on the show. So the morning show is going to look like this, and the afternoon show will look normal. And then we'll be able to separate what the morning show and the afternoon show looks like as far as its vibe and what's going on. And hopefully it will solve my my audio issues with my guests coming in. And then because I never really had them with the clips when I'm doing it in the afternoon. This is just when I bring folks into the show. So morning show will be, I'm going to still build on this. You know me, I mess around a lot. Hi, Rob. You can see me, can't you? I know. But in the meantime, the afternoon show will be normal, and the morning show will start to look like this as I build this sucker out. And hi, chat room, and thank you guys for your patience and your support this this fine day. And let's see, I'm going to put things back again, so that YouTube channel can go away, and then this one, let's see if I can. YouTube should be up. Yes. Hey, there it is. What do you know? And thanks, CSL, for throwing the thumbnail in there. Lovely. Okay, cool. And shall we text in capital letters? No, you don't have to by any stretch of the imagination. Hold on. I've got a couple of let's see. We're supposed to do the tag products and go to the store and put the thing in and apply and click on. Let's see. What's today's shirt? It's good. I need to make. Oh, I'm making a FAFO pillow per our conversation this weekend. Let's see. We'll go there. There we go. And we'll throw in the NFT, maybe. Classic rock t-shirt. And then something along those lines. There you go. Okay. Boop. There we go. Save and pin. Okay, excellent. That's all right. We're off and running. Now it's sort of, the amount of craziness I have to go through on this. And I really do. Ecamm folks, I don't know why the comments and why I mean, I have this whole chat room here and it's running wonderfully. Why it doesn't show up in your little thingy thing. I have no idea. Makes no sense to me. Yeah, I made a point this weekend of the essence of what I would say is Elon Musk's success and the success of Donald Trump and others around him. I would, Howard Lugnuts and all those guys, is that unlike the average person, myself, yourself, in the world of FAFO, nobody gets to escape it. No, it's FAFO's universe and we all just live in it. And in that, the rich and the powerful, oftentimes the reason they start rich and stay powerful is that there is a cushion between the fa and the faux. You know what I mean? Like most of us, the margin between fuck around and find out is incredibly thin. You fuck around this evening, you're going to find out, right? This afternoon, today, right? Don't put the tariffs up. Yeah, I know. We'll get to that in a second. Now, the difference is that in a private company, your distance between fuck around and find out is pretty wide because it's your world to screw up. So when it comes to the Trump organization, he's always had the cushion that his father left him in the case of Donald, and the pad that exists because it's an opaque. You don't have to answer to investors really. You might have to answer to your to whoever bailed you out or who I don't know, provided you with loans and the like. But even those folks don't want you to collapse because it makes them look bad for giving you the loan in the first place, and they'll never get their money back. So that's why private lenders always seem to extend these nutcases, especially in real estate, so much friggin' rope to hang themselves, right? Why there's such a pad between fa and the faux. And in the case of, Elon Musk, SpaceX would be one of those. NASA has a lot of invested in it. A lot of Congress people have invested in this idea that we need private and public partnerships and all that kind of shit. And so there's in that world, between fat and faux, there's a pad. Tesla, the difference between fat and faux for him, because this is where most of his money is, and he lost $100 billion in the last month at least, is that the company itself and the money it takes to run that company, because it became a meme stock, created a really big pad. You don't need Tesla stock to be at $300 or $500 or even $200 to run a car company. You really don't. Look at Ford. I think it's $17. What's Ford? Now, there's a lot of those shares out there, but the idea is that you become a normalized car company. You're becoming a integral to the transportation network of the United States. So the big three, lots of stock certificates out there. Price is fairly low, but you can buy a bunch of them and you can gift them to people and that kind of stuff. Over the years, Ford and the like, they're, let's take a look. Let me see if I can do this real quick while I'm tempting the fates. Ford stock price. Now, again, Ford's been around the longest. Yeah, here you go. Hold on. Let me see if I can. What will this? It'll be the comms window. Yes. Yes. Yeah, there we go. Publish this out. There you go. So Ford stock price is $9.70, and it makes cars all the time. Now, its market cap is $38 billion, P/E ratio 6, 52-week high was $14. That's where I thought it was. It's gone down. But it's up 0.68%, 1.68% today. And it, like everything else, has been drifting all over. There's been a drop in the... I'm trying to click on the window, the window of the window instead of the thing itself. So, yeah, there you go. So this is, in the past month, a lot of things took a shit. But only about 1.87%. Like, it's basically recovered. It's lost a little bit, but not at all anywhere near the margin we're talking about. Meanwhile, should we look at... Let's go to Tesla... There you go, 295. That's where it was. Here's today. It's up 0.9% because people are trying to push it. Here's the 5-day. Here's the 1 month. 6 months overall, it jumped up and then it came back. Now, where were we? What was it looking at? 213. So this was the ass of it last year. And this has been the drop since December 17th. So this was the peak of it. This was everybody went, oh, damn. And so they flooded a bunch of money into it when they were kind of getting out last year. Like if you look at, yeah, there you go. Year to date, not good. And that's because they were kind of promises. They were promising that Tesla was going to, because of its alignment with Trump. There's this assumption that Trump is going to be engaged in some shitty crony capitalism, which, by the way, is not at all an odd expectation. I would argue. That's quite frankly, if you look at the FAA contract that SpaceX just got, Starlink just got, which I believe is under the SpaceX envelope, that's exactly what happened. Now, this big contract, nobody says how big it is. Nobody says how much money they're going to be getting, but it ain't enough to cover their costs. Tesla allegedly has been taking in $10 billion a year, which does not justify its stock price at all, its market capitalization at all. It's less than, I don't know what Ford's yearly is, but if you look at this market cap business, it's $927 billion, almost $1 trillion company. It was above $1 trillion. Remember, that was the thing. His company hit $1 trillion. It's dropped below there. And here's the 52-week low is 138. The 52-week high was 488. This is when people thought, oh, shit, he's lined up with Trump and this is going to go far, right? I said this on Saturday, but if there is a indication the CEO does not know what they are doing, it's when they tell their main customer base to go to hell. The right wing loved to talk up how Bud Light flushed their entire product down the toilet and all that. And how dare they? Let's see. I think we go this thing. I need to do a publish button. That's what I need to do. Let me put this over here. Hi, chat room. And where was I? Hold on a second, because I was looking at this guy. So the amount of money that Tesla takes in is nowhere near justifying that market cap. And the reason people justify it is, well, Tesla is kind of SpaceX, and it's kind of it's more like your investment in Elon Musk and what he's eventually going to do, and blah blah blah. Okay, that's ridiculous. Tesla is a meme stock. And if any other CEO told their main audience of buyers, namely Democrats who give a shit about the environment, to go pound sand the way Elon Musk has, the board would be calling for their head, and every investor would be going, what the hell is wrong with this idiot? Clearly, they would all ask for his head. Okay. Now let me go into here. Oh, I want to look at where are you? Where are you, chat peoples? There you are. So I can look at you guys. The next Enron, Pleasant Fury says the next Enron. So sort of. Enron was selling something you couldn't measure, namely electric voltage. You could kind of flim flam people for a while and go, yeah, we delivered the electricity. They used it. You did? Sure. Yeah. Look at the voltage meter on this thing. Yeah. You control those. So it was easier to control people's idea of whether a product was arriving someplace and going someplace. But when you do that with cars or fucking robots, those are material things. You can count them. They can be inventoried. If they sit on a lot, you can stare at them and you go, those aren't moving. Those are not there. No one is buying those things. Okay. And the primary audience for Tesla and Joe Rogan and his dipshit friends all like to say, you used to be to Musk. They always go, you used to be the darling of the left. Okay. First of all, no, he didn't. He was seemingly at one point an inventor and a billionaire who was focused on good environmental causes and all that kind of stuff. Now, I would file Elon Musk under the same zone as anybody who went to Epstein Island, and considering, I think that it's an apt comparison, considering he was friends with Ghislaine Maxwell and would be to this day if it didn't cause trouble. So let's see, where are you? Arrange this guy right here. I see. Oh, it's up above this guy. It shouldn't be. It should be here. There you go, like that. And then this guy should be here. Yeah, let's do it like that. Yeah. Now I can actually put my screens where they're supposed to be because there was something wonky going. Oh, there's, that's funny. Put this guy over here. And put this thing over here. Okay. Hopefully this will work. There we go. Now I can see my screens, which are very good. Hey, there we go. Now I go. All right. Ta-da. Whew. Man, I'm shuffling around a lot of stuff this morning to make it happen. But in the meantime, most of the people who are investing in this are now right-wingers. And right-wingers don't like electric cars. They think they're a commie plot. It would be one thing if you're like, well, it's going to be a tough sell to MAGA world. You know, we're going to have a hard time convincing these idiots because they just don't, they prefer the loud vroom vroom, right? They prefer a noisy vehicle. They just love gas vehicles just on a matter of, sort of on principle, I guess, right? Let's see if I can move this down here. Try to make this look a little better for me. Boink. There you go. Right? That would be it's going to be a hard sell. They prefer these other, but he and Trump specifically have spent a good deal of time not only talking people out of electric cars, but eliminating the infrastructure for it. Tesla, at the same time, people are talking about, he got this contract from the FAA for Starlink, which I think is like 3 stations, 2 non-crucial ones in Alaska, and then a test one in South Carolina for a while, whatever. At the same time he got that contract, and people are like, this is starting to pay off. And in Tesla world, they're starting to argue this. At the same time, they lost part of the Infrastructure Act that was building all these charging stations that were built around the Tesla chargers, right? There are other chargers on the market out there, and they can all have a uniform, adapter. Okay. But he doesn't get, Tesla doesn't get a dime unless it's their chargers, their actual piece of machinery. And if somebody else, if that gap goes away and states decide they still want them, they've got to just buy them from wherever. And just because maybe there's a bunch of Tesla ones sitting around and he can have a fire sale because he was expecting to sell them to the government. Now he's got to sell them to states and localities and all that kind of shit. Maybe, I don't know. He can sell them at a cost, and then it'll help him build market share. And over time, he'll ratchet up the costs of using them. And that will be the thing. Maybe. I wouldn't count on it, but it's a possibility. So maybe a 1-to-1, certainly in the short term. I don't see how Tesla makes out in this circumstance. And again, these aren't related companies. SpaceX and Starlink are not publicly traded. They are not where the majority of Elon Musk's, if he owns a third of that of Tesla, which is where everybody gets his $300 billion net worth from, and that takes a giant shit, and he sells a bunch of his stock, or in some cases he already has. He's already sold a bunch of his stock because he used it to leverage his loan to buy Twitter, along with, by the way, his partners. And I don't know why this part drives me crazy. Like, why don't people know that he didn't buy Twitter? He co-owns Twitter. He co-owns it with the Saudi royal family and a couple of other investor groups who are basically backing his loans to do it. Larry Ellison owns a piece of it, and so does Sean P. Diddy Combs, a man that Elon Musk said he had on speed dial for a good long while. Now, obviously, you're not going to schmooze Diddy unless you go to his parties, and he's not going to trust you, on the scale that you would need him to, unless I guess you go to the third tier Diddy party, right? Gas price is visible. What's a watts cost per mile? Well, yeah, that's part of the issue too, is that not only is it hard to charge for electricity, but you can make it yourself with solar panels. How do you measure that in terms of GDP? If people have solar panels on their house and they use it to charge their car and they drive their car to and from work, and that exchange is gone. Maybe the cost of the kilowatts per hour, in theory, extrapolated out over, but what if people just buy junk used solar panels and add them to their setup? How do you work that into GDP? Right? That's a serious consideration over the next little bit too. And I have no doubt Rob Glenn and I will talk about this on Friday, if I may. Diddy is in jail, but if you use Twitter, if you are on Twitter, if you participate in Twitter in any way, you are funding P. Diddy's Sean Combs. I don't even want to use his fucking stupid name. Sean Combs's defense, because any revenue he has coming in, that's where it's going right now. And if there is any revenue or dividend paid from Twitter at all, it's going to him too. And it's helping. You're paying for his lawyers. If you're on X, Congress people, oh, look at that. Tara's in the back. Look at that. I will answer that. And then, whoops, hold on. Eric could not start the interview sessions. Please contact. Uh-oh. Oh, dear.
I can hear you.
Yeah. Oh, you're on. That's because I know why. Hold on. Hang up and call back. Yes, because hold on. Let's see if this will do it. Yeah. Hang up and call back. Yeah. I had two eCam sessions open. I had it on the other one. It's my bad. There we go. Hopefully this will work. Hey, look at that. That's wonderful. Okay, now, and the next thing I have to do is put this in here, and one moment, and I will bring Tara Dublin in on this, and we're basically, hold on, Tara, let's do this. Yeah, there we go. Excellent. 1 second. And me and Tara on here. Okay. Doink. There we go. This guy. I'm having to rebuild my setup this morning because it's being persnickety, which is a technical term that people are aware of. And then we'll put Tara in this room. There we go. Excellent. And then I have to do one more thing with me. Okay, I go there. Whoops. No. For me. And then I'll do one more thing and I'll bring in Tara. There we go. Turn that on and transparency. Excellent. Hey, look at that. Wow, that's loud. That was fun. Okay, here we go. Look at this. Ta-da! There she is. Look at that. Hi. Oh, people love you. So I've got to turn down the sound effects on on this guy. Yep, there we go.
Oh no, what is happening? Do I have to do anything on my end?
Nothing. No, that's not you. That's that is the lovely people being happy that you're finally here and sending little.
Yay. Hi.
Yes.
I'm happy to be anywhere, I guess.
Yeah.
In this
it's good
right now, but yeah.
Yes.
Hi, I can only see you, and you're standing in my vision. You're just standing like floating in a black sea. In an abyss.
I gotta say that's appropriate. Hold on, I'll
Black,
remedy that.
black as my soul, shaped
Yeah,
like a
a
hole.
whole.
Yeah.
I'd
All right.
rather die. Is that the?
Die
I'm
than
sorry.
give you
Yeah, I get.
control. Yeah.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
And now,
Hey,
look at
now we're
that. Now you
side
can see
by
it.
side, as is meant to be. Although I'm trying to get the sound of settling framed correctly.
I beg your
Somebody
pardon.
made me a
Yes.
meme. Somebody made me a meme, and it was glorious. I forget who it was, but thank you who did that. And I saw it on Blue Sky, and
Aw,
I meant to give credit,
fan.
but I don't know what you're seeing. I don't know.
I'm seeing. You're seeing what we're seeing. This is the. Hold on. I'll arrange you. Hold on. I'll frame it so that.
I'll
Let's
do all
see.
my Backstreet Boys moves.
Yes.
Backstreet. I'm sorry. I'm not in my right mind. I'm sorry.
That's
Uh-huh.
well, it's true. Okay,
I just-
you know you don't have to be because it's we are effectively in cloud cuckoo land. So fear
We
not.
we are, and they're doing.
So I
know
was just
iPhone
yeah.
suppresses noise, but they are doing hella construction outside today. That's
Yeah, we don't. I don't hear it. Tara Dublin rocks,
good.
everybody on the Substack.
Hi,
She's at the Political
everyone.
Voices Substack. She's
Hi.
she's got a book called The Sound of Settling. You should purchase it.
Yes,
And
please.
there,
Yes, please. Yes, because we're not boycotting Amazon today. Or well, I mean, technically, we're supposed to be just getting rid of Amazon completely. But right now, for
Nope.
I'm getting some judgment out in the world when I'm promoting my book because the main link takes you to the Amazon page where you can buy The Sound of Settling, and it just regenerates from Tara Dublin Rocks. And Tammy has been amazingly patient building. What? You can't hear me now? What?
No, I hear you.
What?
I hear
What's
you.
happening? You said sorry. What?
No, I'm just saying no on the we have to destroy Amazon right now. Right now,
Okay.
again, it's a little bit of Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla in terms of Bezos versus Musk, but there should be a like a resounding because everybody uses Amazon anyway. So don't live in a farcical world where you don't use it or pretend you don't use it or any of those things. And if he's got extra funds in his bank right now, Bezos, then Kuiper comes online faster and competes with Starlink. The ultimate end result. Oh, look at that. I don't know why I gave a thumbs up all of a sudden. That's lovely. The ultimate end result is that you eliminate the potential for a monopoly on either side. So again, don't worry so much about Bezos and Amazon. We can ignore the Washington Post. You can go everywhere else for your Bezos news. If he's trying to hide it there, it's not like that's the single source for it. And all he does, it's all Streisand effect all the time, for God's sake. If he tries to we don't want this cartoon to be shown on on WAPO, most people wouldn't have seen it. They wouldn't have had a physical copy of the WAPO and flipped through it and saw this Bezos joke. But now it's everywhere. So nobody gets to escape it right now. And for all this talk about the legacy media and blah, 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 the reality is that there's no way to hide this stuff. And the more you try, the more attention you draw. Maybe he'll learn that eventually. We don't know
what the word opinion means, though. That's what he put out a thing saying, hey, we're changing the rules of the op-ed page. And it's like, well, when you decide what opinion matters and what opinion doesn't, you get to decide what goes out. You're trying to control the news, just like Trump is trying to control it by deciding who gets to be in the press room and in the Oval Office. And it's a suppression of the First Amendment. And it's just any censorship is bad. So you don't have to agree with an op-ed, but you have to run it. The freedom of the press still is supposed to exist. And this is one of the things that I was the most worried about with this, illegitimate, compromised administration is controlling the truth when you have a Project 2025 architect controlling the FCC and deciding what, they want to get rid of NPR and PBS and basically they just want to control all of the narrative. And we saw that I don't know how much you guys have been talking about Zelensky this weekend, but I have been hot to talk to you about all of that.
Yes.
Well.
Yeah. We talked about it on Saturday, obviously with Phil.
I made notes. So
excellent.
I'm ready to go. I'm so angry about what we saw. It's so embarrassing. So embarrassing at a global scale, right? I mean, I'm old enough, and I think you are too, and probably most of the kids in the chat are old enough to remember the first time Donald Trump tried to influence the Ukrainian president to do him a favor, and it got him impeached. So what we saw in first of all, watching Trump and Vance try to bully him into submission for the show of it all, right? It was all performative. And it started from the moment Trump greeted Zelensky with, "Oh, you got all dressed up," and then do you own a suit from the puffy-eyed alcoholic
Oh,
pantyhose
yeah.
enthusiast who dates Marjorie Taylor Greene? They're
Which would
judging,
make
and
you an
he
alcoholic, I would like to say, for the record anyways. I mean, let's
right.
be
So
honest.
right, you have to be
Yeah.
under some influence to let Marjorie drag you around by a leash. But I mean, it's okay for
Agreed.
Elon Musk to show up in a T-shirt that says tech support. That's
Yeah.
fine. It's not
Well, and
okay
that
for
ended
the
up on
president of
Saturday Night Live
Ukraine.
this
Right,
weekend,
I
if you'll
saw.
recall.
I saw.
Right.
I saw the
So,
clip. Yeah,
mhm.
Mike Myers did a great job imitating
Yeah.
Elon Musk. He got that accent just right, and the way he just kind of all of a sudden seems to glitch and tune out.
Yes. Yeah, that was the best
he
part
got
of
him
it.
just right.
He doesn't, so Musk, and again, this is he got the stammer. Well, there's a default where people kind of go British because they don't know how to do South African, and he doesn't really do South African. And it's basically like this junk kind of, almost like a Silicon Valley accent. Like, this is how VC people, they recently put, I don't know if you know this, but I want to say it was 11 Labs who creates like computer voices or whatever. They maybe it was OpenAI. Anyways, if two AIs talk to each other, they can switch into AI mode and just start basically sending each other the same code you'd see, like that came over a 14.4 baud modem when you were linking up to AOL. That right. There's a human version of that that Elon Musk talks amongst his other guys while they all pretend to be smart. None of them know what they're doing. All of them know just enough about their industry to bullshit other people who know just enough about their industry. They have no idea how actually the mechanics of what they do works at all.
He's not a genius.
that's
I'm really tired of people calling him a genius because he is not. He was lucky. He is the South African Trump. I mean, that's, if you want to just sum him up in 3 words, South African Trump pretty much does it. Because he was born on third base to a couple of parents who hate their own children and were, pro apartheid, and taught him to be the worst possible version of a human being. And so did Trump's, and every bit of it. That's why they're such besties. They recognize they both have severe mommy and daddy issues, which is also why
grifters got to stick together, baby.
Right, and also why Putin was able to like hook into both of them pretty quickly. This daddy loves you. This daddy rewards you with all-consuming power if you do this for daddy. So that's what's been going on. And it's just like, stop worshiping billionaires, unless you're doing it with Taylor Swift, because she's an example of what a good billionaire can be. But it's danger. All of this danger. Well, it's also impossible to change the public perception when he's the one controlling the narrative, thanks to manipulating the algorithms on Twitter. So, if you're controlling the conversation, it's really easy to influence people to believe that you are smart, that you did come up with this. He didn't build the Tesla. He didn't build a rocket. He did not. He didn't build Twitter.
He didn't come up with Starlink. And even then, Starlink itself is a cast off version of other tech. It simply is. It is not, there's nothing miraculous about it. It's just, it is fairly standard. The only difference is that because of his access that was given to him largely by Democrats who believe in space travel and all the science that you could get from, having satellites and having, a space station up there where you could conduct experiments so that we can know eventually how to save the planet from an asteroid, for example. Like, Democrats care about that stuff long term. And he took advantage of that, and he was able to make money off of that for a very long time. I mean, like that.
But nobody's
that's just
going to Mars. Like, shut up about that already. You're not colonizing Mars. You're not doing it. Not in this lifetime. It's not going to happen. And it's crazy that anyone's wasting energy or any money or whatever. You think you can go to Mars? Please load your 14 children onto one of your rockets.
Knock yourself out.
Bring Trump and all of the people with you that hate America so much, because the compliance with what we saw on Friday, the narrative that Ukraine deserves this, that Ukraine asked Russia to invade it. I mean, of course, a couple of sexual predators are making it sound like Ukraine was asking for it. So, like, all of it, you don't like America? Bye. I hear the Lolita Express is just sitting there ready for you all to pile inside of it and go home to Mother Russia. Go.
I think one of my favorite stories that came out, I want to say last week, was that apparently Trump according to Michael Wolff's book, which again, these dudes who like know all this stuff and then just wait till it's too late to release their books can go pound sand. But why am I giving a thumbs up? I'm not thumbsing up. I'm just that it's hilarious. Chat that does that come no. That is me. In theory, let's see.
It doesn't do it when I do it, does it?
Well, no, because that would be set on your own thing or whatever. So let's go to here. I'll turn those off. There we go. Now it won't happen. Okay. No, it's because I literally, because I set my arm like this, it sees my thumb up and it thinks I'm giving.
Oh boy.
It's so adorable. Well, anyway. and AI is going to solve everybody's problems. But that
AI
said.
is the devil. Okay. Continue.
Well, by the way, then you agree with Glenn Beck.
No, well, here's the thing. The enemy of my enemy is my compatriot occasionally. I mean, I also agreed with Laura Loomer when she was mad about all of the Epstein stuff. It's a weird
let's get to that. It's a very weird time. Strange, and I hate using the phrase bedfellows when it comes to the Epstein files, but when you got somebody like Laura Loomer, right. Oh my God, right?
Well, so I mean, look at the hype
and Anna Paulina Luna, right?
And right. So you have this huge announcement. Pam Bondi is like, I'm going to release the Epstein files tomorrow. And she invites the worst fucking people, libs of TikTok and DC Drano and whoever else out there. The woman wearing the Free Ghislaine shirt. All of them holding up these binders like they've got something. And what they've got is pages of redaction. That's all. It was like all of it was blacked out because it was probably all about Trump. It's so frustrating. Like, you released nothing. You did nothing but kill some trees and put it in a plastic binder is what you did. And the MAGA kids are like, well, that's not what did you do? You did what? And so here's the other thing that everyone is not saying with this Epstein file release is that it's not the first one. And everyone forgets about the one that was released last year because Ron DeSantis ordered a Florida judge to release a cache of Epstein files that were previously unreleased. And some of that is what I've recorded. I put it everywhere that I post, on my Instagram, on my YouTube, on all of my social media. An excerpt from the Epstein files explicitly showing from testimony, Trump, it's about a 12-year-old and a 13-year-old. They gave him bad blowjobs because I don't know about you, but I did not even know what it was when I was 12. But anyway, they gave him a bad blowjob, so he slapped them in the face. And then he refused to wear a condom when he raped them. And then after he was done raping them, they were crying because they were afraid they might get pregnant because they just got raped without a condom. And then he threw cash at them and told them to get a fucking abortion. That is directly from that cache of the Epstein files. And
you think that's why it's not coming out?
I recorded it so people could hear it because MAGA doesn't read. And still, fully ignored by the media except for two mentions that I saw over the summer. Once from Joy Reid. She did like one segment about it, and then she probably got a very stern talking to, which said, don't bring that up again. And Ted Lieu mentioned it at a press conference in front of the media who did nothing and did not pick up on it. I'll keep sharing it because it's real. And people get mad, like the MAGA kids are like, that's fake, that's AI. No, that's real, and that's my voice. And I recorded it because you don't want to read it, and it's worse when you hear it. So my question is, why doesn't anybody know about it except like a small handful of people that know about it, me and all the people that see it?
I mean, it should be the primary thing. Yeah, it should be the primary thing that people bring up specifically when people talk about why hasn't Pam Bondi been more forthcoming? Why hasn't she released this stuff? Like the obvious answer is because she knows, she saw what's in it, and they're protecting Trump. Even like I've been watching over the last, since Friday, because it's unfortunately a massive part of my job, and you have the same issue is that when you look into, like how the right wing is going to spin this, what their argument is. I watch a shit ton of their argument for things, and they don't have one. Literally on the Blaze, Liz Wheeler, who's one of their hosts, was one of the people who was the most like, we're going to finally get the Epstein stuff. And she was at the White House for something else. And they brought her in and said, we're going to hand you one of these magic binders with all the special stuff in it. You've been chosen because you're nearby and we just thought of this. And she was like, she got all excited that this was going to be it. She was part of it because she'd been talking about it on there forever. They've been, all of them are all up in this. Whenever they'll bring up Clinton's name, they'll ignore the fact that Trump flew with him. You know, he said he never did. Then it was 3, then it was 5, now it's 8. And forget the number of times Epstein flew on Trump's plane, which has, been,
he campaigned on Epstein's plane. They just repeated
well, he was afraid he was going to die on it. Was that Michael Wolff part? But the point I'm trying to make is that she was brought in to do this, and the general feeling by all the people, the poor right-wing media influencer crowd that was dragged into this, is that they were being used by Pam Bondi's Justice Department and Kash Patel to cover for the elites. And they're like, I wonder who these elites are. And you're like, asshole, it's Trump. What do you mean? Who else do you need? The dude was friends with him for a quarter century. And I will not stop banging this until everybody says it every time it comes up. How long would it take you to be friends with Jeffrey Epstein before you realized he was a pedophile? A year, 5 years, 7 years, 8 years, 9, 12 years, 15 years. After 17 years, would you realize 21 years? After 22 years, would you finally realize 24 years? We know they hung out for at least 25 years. And by the way, the idea that he doesn't still consider him a friend if he's alive as a hidden billionaire someplace, threatening him over if he dares turn on Russia because that's where the money is hidden in the Bank of Cyprus and a bunch of Russian accounts, might be enough to explain all of Trump's fealty to Vladimir Putin beyond anything else. But 25 goddamn years.
I mean, well, and the other thing is that they had that manufactured fight in public where it was, you talk about it, and there's the cover story was that Trump stopped being friends with him because of Epstein hitting on
shit.
Right, and it was a land thing. Epstein bought property that Trump was bidding on, and it became
it's that house he sold to that.
Right, and
that Russian billionaire.
Out over that. But they didn't. They were still friends when he was in the White House. And what happened was Epstein must have said something, and Trump was like, I don't like that. I'm going to send Bill Barr to suicide you, or at least make it look like, or we're going to say we suicided you, but we're going to put you somewhere in like, I don't know, somewhere in the Russian hinterlands, and you'll be safe underground in a lair like a Bond villain. We don't know. We never saw a body. It's fine.
Right.
But the point is that Donald Trump is an adjudicated rapist, which everyone tries to push to the side, but he's also a pedophile. He lusted after his own daughter. He used to talk about how he wished he could date Ivanka. He sexualized Tiffany before she was like when she was an infant. He's like, well, we don't know about the breast. We'll have to see something. Yeah. So, he's disgusting. He walked around in the Miss Teen USA pageant backstage to get a glimpse of young bodies in their underwear. So when we're, and here's Matt Gaetz still tweeting, like, Zelensky's a fraud or whatever he said. Oh, Zelensky's a grifter when you're a sex trafficking rapist pedophile yourself. And it's so frustrating because they claim to be the pro-life party, and Marjorie Taylor Greene's worried about children. And Nancy Mace is very worried as a rape survivor, but she does nothing. And now they've got 2 more rapists and sex trafficking pedophiles in Florida because he gave safe harbor to Andrew and Tristan Tate. So he's best friends with Epstein. He lets Andrew and Tristan Tate come to Florida. Even Ron DeSantis has a problem with that. So the media is not reporting on that enough. But my question is to Nancy Mason. I called her office Friday, and I called her office this morning. And they must have my phone number flagged over there because they answer the phone when I call. And there's a young guy. It's always a guy. She won't hire women because she's a female misogynist, aside from being transphobic. But I asked, Nancy Mace is a rape survivor. There is nothing stronger that you can be as a woman than a rape survivor. I mean, it's unbelievable how many women have survived that and continued without becoming like a victim of Stockholm syndrome and loving a rapist pedophile. How can you say that, you are like, she can't say that Trump is a champion of women when he gives safe harbor to Tristan and Andrew Tate. And the guy on the phone was like, on Friday, said, well, she's going to release a statement about that. And she so far has not. And so I called back today and I said, where's her statement about Trump, who's an adjudicated rapist, friend of Epstein, and I just kept saying it. And they're like, she's going to release it. I'm like, okay, can you tell me when? And they can't.
Yeah.
Just like they can't quantify bullying Zelensky, standing up for Putin, pushing for this minerals deal, taking away all of our protections. Like, when are they just going to start giving press conferences in the original Russian already? Like,
Right.
it's so painful. Like, they're not hiding it anymore. They're being and stop saying Russia, Russia, Russia. I'd love to know if the kids in the chat today, the MAGA kids who have joined the chat as they always do, how they feel about this. How do you feel
Yeah.
about Andrew and Tristan Tate? How do you feel about what we saw on Friday? You can have your own opinions about what Trump and Vance say, but you can't have an opinion about how a war started. A war started because one
Right.
country invaded another. Those are the facts. I
Mhm.
want, and here's the other thing. You and I've also said this before. It's okay for you to disagree with your party's leadership. It
Yeah.
is okay for you to question their moves. It is absolutely fine for you to do that if you're not in a cult, but they're in a cult. You're still allowed to question. So my
Right.
question is, are you okay with what we saw on Friday? Because that was an all-time low for this country. We have never seen the Oval Office, used for something so disgusting since we saw the kid wipe his boogers on the Resolute desk. So they found a new way to lower
Right.
the bar. But, it's like, imagine if Joe Biden and Kamala Harris invited Zelensky to come sit in the Oval Office with a hand-picked group of liberal media for the sole purpose of trying to humiliate him on the global stage. Because that's what it was. That's what Friday was.
Right. I got to say also that it, if you look at Trump's kind of attitude, towards him and the fact that Vance was there for that meeting, which was also, he's not there for anything else, but he's there for that. And Musk, I don't think can be even seen in the same room, because if there's any kind of balanced look at all, he'll get in trouble with his handlers in Russia or China, and he's split between the two right now. We'll address more of the Elon Musk myth in my afternoon show today specifically, but the two of them ganging up on, I will say that, me, I always look for the silver lining and the true meaning. What's really abundantly clear is they are scared to death. This whole idea that he was going to be able to make a deal in 24 hours has totally fucking evaporated. They weren't able to do it after the election. He wasn't able to do it after the inauguration. He still hasn't been able to do it. The Europeans have dumped a bunch of, they've announced a bunch of support for Ukraine basically right after this. If anything, it accelerated the idea that Ukraine would become a tacit member of NATO because there are going to be British and French troops in there no matter what deal is struck. Trump can't strike a deal without peacekeepers in the country. He knows this and even said it, which is part of what got him in trouble, which is why why J.D. Vance jumped in to kind of salvage this and make it about, Zelensky's personality. And it's not going to change a goddamn thing. It's like, they have no leverage. And when Trump says, you don't hold the cards, we hold all the cards, it's his admission that he doesn't even know the fucking game. And we don't hold all the cards. We absolutely don't. It's an absurdity. No, of course not. And then on top of that, let me show you something else. Why all this loud bullshit around this? Besides the Epstein stuff that turns out to be a farce and didn't, they're trying to cover with, because you and I, we're going to hate Trump no matter what he does, because he's a scumbag and a rapist and a terrible human being and doesn't know what he's doing. And he's endangering the lives of average, humans, much less Americans on the regular. So I don't need another excuse to not like him politically. I could disagree politically with conservatives about other shit, but insofar as Trump as a human being, he's a scumbag. And we know this, and that's not going to change. But why all of a sudden does he have to start scrambling? Is it to impress us? No, because we're just going to continue to think this is another example of him being a dipshit. But MAGA is pissed about the Epstein stuff. They are freaking out all weekend long. Stu Burgermeister on the Blaze, I didn't know this. I always wondered what the fuck. I thought he was just the sidekick. Apparently, he's technically the executive producer of Glenn's show. Glenn Beck's radio show. Stu, the guy, the heavyset dude who's always sitting there kind of like, he's like
I don't
puffy
know
dweeb.
These people. I'm,
all right.
I'm very glad. I thought you meant Stu Peters, who I called you hating Stu.
That's a different category. But he had to come out. They had a guy who is another producer on Beck's show who used to work for the Department of Defense, which apparently is a red flag when it happens on the left, but when the right does it, it's like, yeah, he's a patriot. Right, stupid. Anyway, so they're sitting there, and Stu brings up 5 reasons they're not releasing the Epstein files, and these are the possibilities, and you're not going to like all of them, and blah, blah, blah. And the first 3 are the kind of standard fare, like they've got leverage, and they're going to use it, and Trump doesn't want to give up the leverage he has against these other people. It's just garbage. And then the 4th or 5th one, when they finally get down to the bare bones, is that they're covering for someone. And I'm like, you guys are so fucking, you're so fucking close. Then on top of that, what's the other thing that MAGA apparently was all in for with Trump? Price of eggs is going to come down. Price so fast, too. Everybody who's running the government is stupid. And as soon as I get in there, you're going to see prices come down so fast, it's going to make your head spin. Okay, never mind the fact that when prices come down that fast, that means recession. That means a crash. That's the only thing that causes prices to like retreat from highs, like they're saying. You'd have to wreck the economy to do it. Well, let me show you something. Ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
This is the Atlanta. No, see that? And it's funny that it's green. So very telling. Oh, sorry. I always have to turn off the sound effects when we do that because you guys are lovely.
That looks like a bunch of lemmings going over a cliff.
Yeah. So this is the Atlanta Fed's GDP real estimate for 2025 Q1 quarterly percentage.
Oh my. Look at that. Look at
That's
that.
really fucking bad.
That, though? What happened before that? Oh, we only had the best economy in the whole world thanks to Joe Biden, and it lifted up other global economies. Oh, well, thanks for not reporting on it enough, media. It's fine.
And this is the source of this: blue chip economic indicators and blue chip financial forecasts. So these folks are not left wingers who are trying to present to the world a view that is anti-Trump or anti-America first, or they hate MAGA or whatever. They're just looking at where their money's going to go and whether it's going to go up or down. That's all they care about.
I got a cat crossing.
Oh, kitty.
Cat crossing.
Get your kitty. Totally good.
I was afraid. It was Maxine. I was afraid she was going to knock over.
But
she's cool. Okay.
This is what we call Trumponomics, folks.
It's bad.
This is it.
That's bad.
It's really bad.
In case you didn't know, a drop off like that, bad. Real bad.
Yeah. These guys are not fucking around. These guys, when the Fed starts talking about this stuff, they are, and a lot of times they're trying to play nice with him because they know he will overreact, right?
Trump overreact?
Yeah.
No.
Meanwhile, the Department of Government Efficiency. Hold on, let me see if I can show you this, which is super fun.
I shared an article about that today, by the way, from the Willamette Week, which is a local free weekly here in Portland, because somebody wrote into their advice columnist saying, do we have to pay taxes considering Doge is like a giant bucket of shit, is basically.
Yeah.
Because who's going to collect our taxes? Is there going to be an IRS? Are there going to be anybody?
Right.
Is there going to be anybody working there? Why bother?
Yeah.
So
it's
not a real department. Okay.
Nope, it is not. And it is.
And he doesn't run it, apparently.
No, well, that's because he had to. He couldn't.
Runs it now.
Yeah, because it would affect its constitutionality. Right. So they've got to. They had to bring somebody in to pretend to run the thing like it's actually being. Here's the thing: it's not who's running it; it's the illusion that it's actually being run. That it's not. It is a runaway. It's a stampede. There's no coordination at all. And where would you get this? Why would you think this? Where would you ever come to a conclusion like this in any way? I can't imagine. Well, it might be, ladies and gentlemen, it might be that Doge tries to do the math again and makes an $86 billion mistake. Oops. I've been looking at, like last week, twice, I went through the Doge website. Instead of doing a clip on my show, I went through that, and people will know watching the show. I dug into some of the stuff. We chased it down. We went to where the money was originally allocated, and again, everything they're finding has been on a website forever. So the idea that they're discovering stuff is horseshit. Most of the extraordinary stuff that they're flipping out about, transgender comic books and all this kind of shit, is stuff Rand Paul bitches about every fucking year. Some of it is 10 years old. Some of it they're taking credit for saving money by eliminating fraud and waste in Medicare and Medicaid comes from a bill passed under the Obama administration that is law. That the Congress has to do this, and part of the law says how much are we saving every year? How much are we saving every month? And they make a little notch next to it, and it goes through the process. It's automated. It updates. They took credit for that system. They took credit for the savings created by Barack Obama fucking 10 years ago. Yeah. So
weird that they did that from the same guy who takes credit for Tesla and SpaceX and Starlink and Twitter. All the things he didn't create, he's going to take credit for that too. Weird.
Yeah.
Just like someone else takes credit but not accepts responsibility. I'm just trying.
People like me started pointing out the fact that on their stupid little cartoonish website where they also sell crypto coins at the bottom and in the ads for it, which is, I mean, in and of itself should be a crime, whatever. That
probably.
Said, their number stayed at 55 billion, even though they said they were discovering new stuff all the time, and it just didn't move because it wasn't automated. It isn't updated. It's a person typing shit in. It is not like Grok AI is creating this amazing thing or whatever. If it was, it would embarrass them. That's the most amazing thing. If they used Grok 3, the new one, with its reasoning capability that they're very proud of, which is shit ass, and it's behind 5 other AIs that are out there. Claude kicks its ass, so does OpenAI. But if they use that, it would go, yeah, the savings are probably around $9 billion in total or something. It would be pitiful. And it would be well within what the committees, the oversight committees, should be finding on their own without any help from anybody. Like, that's the other thing, is that this whole thing should embarrass the right in terms of, wait a minute, your Congress people can't do this? Because that stuff's available to them. It is. And they're like, we asked for USAID's funding and we couldn't find it. Dude, you can fucking Google it. You can Google this. It shows you. It shows you the organizations it goes to, and you go to their site, and they will tell you what they spent it on. They have to. All they're doing is like, you have to look at 2 websites instead of 1. That's your problem. And we don't allocate the stuff. We don't micromanage what they're doing for a good reason, so that whether your priorities are right or left, the new administration won't come in and do exactly what they're doing, which is micromanage, where the funds are supposed to be going in the priorities of each administration and the Congress overall. So anyways, Doge's 3 savings groups added up to approximately $19 billion by its own count, with an estimated savings of $8 billion for canceled contracts, $10 billion for nixed grants, and $660 million for terminated leases. This, by Doge's math, has somehow saved $652.17 per taxpayer, another figure that is vastly inflated. They estimated $105 billion in savings. This is okay. So they, I have to get I think I deserve some credit in that I think I'm one of 2 people who's actually dove into this stupid fucking page as soon as it was live and started going, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Right. Never mind the fact, by the way, one of my favorite things is that Trump and his real estate buddies were hoping for like them to salvage their industry, and corporate, like commercial real estate, has been in a big trouble since COVID because everybody was working at home, right? That's part of the reason why they want people going back to the office, to justify that. Well, the U.S. government,
I wasn't working at, so good luck with
that. Well, and also they have jettisoned a bunch of fucking buildings that were leased for the future for people to come back to. They just eliminate them. Well, they're now on the market. They're now lowering the competition costs for real estate space for the commercial buildings all throughout the country, in downtowns all over the country where big money people have big money investments, especially foreign investment. But that's another thing entirely. So they listed a DEI contract as $8 billion in savings, and it was an $8 million contract. That we've seen that.
They also
New York Times
accidentally fired the Ebola response team. That's comforting.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Well, that one, yes. Well, that one he brought up. But the problem is, it isn't the stuff that he's like, oh, Ebola, or like, I got news for you. Ebola while dangerous and deadly and scary, and if you ever read Hot Zone or any of the books about, the potential for like airborne Ebola and what that would look like, or watched Outbreak, the movie with Dustin Hoffman and that kind of shit, it's really scary as a concept, but the chances of it going airborne fairly slim, and it has to be person-to-person contact. That's why it's never taken off, and it's bad, and you have to watch for it, and we need it. But while there's a lot of noise about them shutting down the Ebola team and then restarting it again because Ebola's scary, it pales in comparison to the fact that like nobody's died of Ebola this year, but we had a kid die of measles in Texas, and there are a bunch of people getting sick and spreading it, right? And the damage that's done to your immune system when you get a bad case of the measles also leads to other shit. And so
yes, it does. It's so bad that RFK Jr. is telling people to get measles vaccinations. Hooray! How's that? RFK Jr., who is anti-vax, is like, go get the measles vaccine. That tells you how bad it is.
Yeah.
It's 2025. There should be no measles. Okay.
Agreed.
These are preventable diseases.
And a bunch of these things, which, I pointed out when I first dove into it, was that most of the stuff they're taking credit for, not being spent this year. This is money we're not spending this year. We're saving the taxpayer money. Is money that was already spent. It was for a short-term contract that is over. That like a lot of times, Trump's whole, and I would love to have, press people. You have one fucking job right now. You open up with how long would it take the average person to realize Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile, and is it less than 25 years? And you go, but the question I would like to ask is, why are you? Who is the guy that allegedly got a 3-month contract to like watch people shop and is still being paid? What's his name? We would like to interview him. The president has brought this up like 3 fucking times in major events. Who the fuck are you talking about? Name him. If it's really something that criminal and that obvious, and you're like, oh my God, this is so nuts. Well, if it's that nuts, tell us. You're not going to violate the law. He's got a government contract. If you're going to be all transparent about it, who the fuck is he? I'll tell you who he is. He's Mr. Nobody. He's the incredible vanishing man. He doesn't fucking exist. But somebody needs to go just like dog with a bone at all White House presidents. They got to bother Caroline Leavitt. They got to bother Trump, and they got to ask everybody that is pro-Musk Doge, like Lutnick and all these other assholes. Anytime they're interviewing him, who is he talking about? Who is that? If that contract's on the books and it's taxpayer money, it's not hidden. It's not a secret. So who is it? Why can't, or why, I would say can't. Why won't he tell us who that person is? Because and I'll tell you why he won't, because that person doesn't exist. But we've got a
smoke screen and a distraction from
bullshit.
What they're really doing. So you almost see. And when they announced this quote unquote department but when they first announced it, and that it was DOGE, I was like, this is a fucking joke. This is them pulling a prank because they think they're a bunch of juvenile dipshits, and they figured out a way because of their beloved Dogecoin and their crypto bro bullshittery and their invisible money grifting schemes. All of it is it's like they're playing a prank on the American people, except we're going to lose real money and we're going to lose real freedoms. He's out there calling Social Security a Ponzi scheme. Every accusation is a confession. Like Donald Trump is a Ponzi scheme in human DNA.
Here's a great example. Okay. I don't know if anybody has followed this before, but one of the things that beyond just USAID that was quite frankly, a thing that Bill Gates was working on for years with his foundation and others as well, including, God forbid, the Clinton Foundation, was 2 ways of getting nutrients into starving people's bodies. And there were 2 ways of doing it. One was a highly nutrient-dense bouillon cube that you could give to someone, that you could make soup from this thing that would have enough vitamins and minerals for the day in it instead of just flavor. Because you had all these poor people all over the world making soup for their families. They're making this with bouillon cubes because they could get them cheap, but they have no real nutritional value. They just flavor the water, and you're better off just drinking warm water than eating that as a soup. But they were like, if we could get a new version of that has your daily vitamins and minerals in it, it would be a game changer for the health and safety of, of millions, if not billions of people in Africa and South Africa in Southeast Asia and in South America. And then the other one was these peanut butter pouches that they give newborns, like babies, like infants really, in Africa specifically, that have saved millions of lives. These kids that would die of malnutrition, and you can't send grain and other stuff. We send, bushels of rice and shit like that. But you have to cook those. And by the time the family feeds themselves, there's nothing left over for the kid ultimately. And that's what was happening. So they sent these things that are just for the kids, and they pulled these patches, and the kids just suck this peanut butter solution that has, protein in it and all kinds of, a vitamin array in it, and it has saved millions of lives. No question. And USAID, one of the biggest things they do is make sure those things, and working with the UN specifically, the United States provides those pouches to impoverished, refugee camps and impoverished populations all over the world. Is one of the single greatest things the United States does, more than almost anything else. Like the lives saved by that act alone dwarfs the deaths of all American wars put together, even the good ones, even World War II and World War I and fucking Revolutionary War. We have saved more lives with those peanut butter pouches than it costs to create the country and maintain it. Okay, it's amazing. It's fucking fantastic.
So and Republicans hate it.
Doge cut. No, they don't. That's the weird part. That Republicans, this is one of the things that they allow Dobson and these other guys to be some of the delivery people for it. As a matter of fact, it wasn't Falwell. It was the other guy. One of the big TV preachers who got caught basically flim-flamming aid agencies and got busted for it. Pat Robertson. When Pat Robertson got busted years ago, he was selling Amway effectively in Africa. He was selling shampoo and conditioner and soap and shit like that for profit. And they were packing trucks with it. And then they would put a layer of food aid in between the back of the truck and the doors. So if you opened it up and you'd reveal, look at the joy. Motherfucker, what a terrible human being. So but Republicans were for this. Because again, this is a nonpartisan issue. Like, nobody's for starvation, and this is a really low cost way of saving millions of lives. Okay,
right.
So
okay, go ahead. But
Doge cuts it. Doge cuts it.
Of course.
And then look at, and this is Elon and Favreau calls John Favreau calls Elon Musk calls Doge out on it. And this is Elon Musk's response to it right here on the screen. It says dollars.
When
but
dealing with John
they use that all the time. Yeah.
No,
Dollar store John Favreau is an imbecilic propagandist who lies to score cheap political points. That said, we will investigate whether this is real or not and fix it if it is. Spoiler alert, it is real, and they have yet to fix it.
You're not going to fix shit.
No, they will. They will fix it. They will fix it, and they will pat themselves on the back for fixing something that wasn't broken and didn't need to be stopped. It's grotesque. And again, this shows, quite frankly, how Trump runs his companies and how Musk runs his. And again, the only reason these guys have been successful is the FAFO cushion that they have. They've got a big cushion between fuck around and find out that the average person doesn't have.
Right. You were talking about that earlier. I heard you talking. Yeah. I mean, if any one of us tried anything they did, we'd already be in Gitmo. So it's ridiculous. It's just. But what's interesting is, like, if Republicans are fine with that program, why are they cutting SNAP benefits here? Because it's the same principle. It really, feeding
CNN
kids
reported,
is a good idea.
CNN reported that the contract was restored Monday, allowing the specially made peanut butter paste used by humanitarian aid workers around the globe to be shipped out for use. I'm waiting, as we all are, for him to apologize to Favreau for calling this to his attention, or kids would have fucking died, because he just doesn't give a shit. Fuck Elon Musk and his garbage, second-rate like third tier Chinese electric vehicles that are, BYD stole his tech and then advanced past it. And he has it. And the only advances that Elon Musk has made in any of his cars recently is full self-driving in China, which went viral. They had videos of it running around. Here's what I want to know. Why the ever-loving fuck do you need full self-driving in China when there are too many people to begin with, in theory? Or what, are you going to run out of cab drivers? Are you out of your fucking mind?
Bad idea all around. It's just because he doesn't care. He doesn't care. If he actually cared, he'd be doing humanitarian things with his money. There's so much good he could be doing with his money. There's so much good Jeff Bezos could be doing with his money. And they just don't. And
he doesn't have to. His ex-wife is doing it all for him. Bezos' ex-wife is doing all the charity work. And again,
and so Gates. Melinda Gates. Thank you, Melinda Gates.
Right.
Right? So great.
Directing all that shit.
Yeah, so that's why women should be in charge of everything. It's fine. So it's so frustrating. It's such a hard. It's because again, it goes back to we warned everybody about all of this and a little bit of satellite fuckery, and here we are. And it's frustrating to not be able to get out the right messaging as hard as we try. Right? We try, we boost independent media as much as we can. We just saw the bloodletting at MSNBC, so that's another place people can't go when they want the truth, which is why, once again, I'll just keep advocating. I don't care who steals my idea anymore. We need a Democratic press secretary. And I don't mean somebody from Congress gets up and go, here what we did today. No, people in Congress need to focus on their jobs. They don't need to be taking time out of their day to make memes, to tweet and put out on all social media saying, here's what Democrats did, because not every American is on social media. You want to reach Americans, you need a Democratic press secretary to get up and negate whatever Caroline has just lied about. And especially when the alleged press pool is now Brian Glenn and Peter Doocy with maybe a couple of scattered OAN and Newsmax people around. And so we need someone like Jessica Tarlov, who understands the right-wing spin and is able to cut through it and deliver a unifying message to the American people every day from the Democratic Party, which is obstruct Trump. That should be the unifying message every day, all day, and putting out, here's what Democrats did because Republicans did this. Here's what we tried to do to stop Republicans from doing this. And that's what, if we can't rely on a mainstream media to get the word out, then we need someone who has a direct line to the DNC and Democratic leadership to stand out there every day and say, this is actually what happened in our country. And this is why we also need Democrats to boycott the State of the Union tomorrow. There is no reason for a single Democrat to stand there and allow Trump to just lie. He's going to lie to the American people. He's going to deliver a State of the Union for Russia, not for America. He's going to deliver a State of the Union just presuming that we've already been annexed by Russia. He's going to lie and lie and lie and push more propaganda like he did when during his first term. And it's going to be threats and all of that shit. So Democrats should boycott completely, and they should hold an alternative to somewhere else where they're delivering the truth. Here's what Republicans have decided to do to America. This is how Democrats are choosing to fight. So, there is resistance out here. You just there's no coverage of the protests on mainstream media. Americans were out in the streets this weekend protesting Tesla and protesting Trump and protesting what happened on Friday. And people showed up. People ran JD Vance out of the state of Vermont. I don't know if anybody saw that. The man went skiing after trying to bully the president of Ukraine, and Vermont was like, the fuck you're gonna. There's one guy holding up a sign saying JD Vance is a traitor, go ski in Russia. That's what, and the media doesn't cover that. The media's not covering the resistance, which is crazy. So again, it's up to us to continue to deliver the truth, but it's really, really hard when we're being suppressed across all of these available platforms, and why we have to keep supporting each other, and why you have to sign up for the Political Voices Network Substack. Hal has a Substack. I have a Substack. We have the Tara Show happening, where Tara Devlin and I are the meeting of the Taras every Thursday.
Very exciting.
At 2 Eastern and 11 Pacific time. And I want to say we've only done 2 shows, but the reaction has been really overwhelmingly positive. Like maybe we'll actually get to do it more than once a week because everyone's like, oh, they love us. And so that's great. But again, you need to be, those are the messages we need to be elevating because all the opposition has the platform. So we have to make sure that we can be louder than that and elevate each other. But
That's right.
All of that's going to get lost if the Democrats don't choose somebody to stand up and speak for us, like the Republicans have Caroline, because she doesn't speak for the country; she speaks for Trump. We need the Democrats to have a press secretary.
Well, and that's also it's funny, but like they're so ham-handed with it that even if they kick people out of the room, what are they going to miss? Her lie? Is she going to be? Are you going to catch her in something? Is she going to say something that's off message or something? I don't think so. I think mostly. I would argue there was a period before we had a regular press corps, a regular sort of PR push from the White House, where the vast majority of, especially quote unquote, the legacy media, spent their time investigating. They didn't go there to see what the quote from the White House would be or the message from the White House would be. They asked for a quote on a specific story from the White House. If they got one, they would use it. If they didn't get one, they would say they offered no comment, and they would spend the rest of their time interviewing all the people in the works of it all. And I would rather the quote unquote legacy media crowd out there be chasing down these douchebags and finding out who they are and what they're up to and interviewing them and chasing them down like Woodward and Bernstein back in all the days of All the President's Men, rather than sit in the room, rather than sit down there and pick a fight with Caroline Leavitt like there's a fight to be had. Again, the fix is in. She's already going to answer the way she's going to answer. And there isn't going to be a conflict between what she says and what Trump says. Most of the time that people are in there, I would argue that like it's simply a press release. It's a human being speaking a press release out loud. And if there's a question about something, it'll be like, I'll get back to you. The only value that the press has in that moment when they say something like that is that they've got it on record that they asked the White House the question. The White House didn't have a response, and they said they would answer back so they could say later in the story, they said they'd get back to us. They never did. Or they said they got back to us. This is what they said. Most of the time, they're going to send Stephen Chung to go, whoever asked this is a big R word and it's dumb anyways. Like, so who gives a shit? I would argue back to basics. If Elon Musk wants to sell this horseshit about first principles, which he absolutely does not believe, like this idea, and then this is all VC capital, Silicon Valley speak. If you want to talk about, going back to first principles, reporters report on stuff that's actually happening, not on what a side of that has literally has their skin in the game says about that fight until the end. And that's why when you go watch All the President's Men, it's very inspiring and it's fascinating. But you'll notice they don't start calling around for comment until they have the story together.
Right.
What's happened is that now we've gotten the cart before the horse. People are asking for comment in lieu of reporting. And when you can trust the
answer,
right? When you can trust the White House to deal with real answers, which I would argue you could under the Obama administrations and under the Biden administrations, although they were far more media savvy than, say, Clinton's White House was, that you could count on Democratic press secretaries giving you the skinny on the idea. And they could even expound on it because they knew the issue. They worked with the administration and they weren't just reading from a binder, which has become the norm. Let's keep everybody on message and tighten the shit out of this.
Right.
That's got to once that happens, then what's happening in that room. The only time you should show up is, I want a response on this story. Murph, I'm talking, man. Cat is trying to get in the room. Murphy, yeah. Hold on. I'm going to get him.
Let him in. This is a cat-friendly environment.
I know. Hi, buddy. Yeah,
aw, kitten.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Listen.
Come on in, buddy.
Aw.
He gets nervous if you try to pick him up too quickly. So, like, hi, buddy.
Well,
What's it,
cats
buddy?
hate
You want to
closed doors.
listen?
You know what
Listen
you should
quietly. He's
do?
gonna open. You hear that? That's him opening the door.
That's
He
very
just opened the
talented.
closet. He just opened the closet and got in. Just
That's crazy.
hold on.
You know what
Hold
you
on.
should
I'm
do
gonna,
is put.
he's gonna hate me for it, but I'm gonna bring him over. Come here.
Oh, I hope you don't get scratched.
I will.
Oh, buddy.
Murph loves me. Yeah, buddy.
Oh,
I know.
oh, come
Hi,
on
buddy.
now.
Come on, there he is.
Oh,
Oh,
look.
you're okay.
Oh, wow.
You're okay, buddy.
Wow.
I just kicked something on the ground. He's a biggie. He's beautiful.
Oh.
He's Batman. Here you go.
Is he Maine Coon or what is he?
No.
What's the? He looks floofy.
He's very floofy. He's a Russian blue, ironically enough. Yeah.
Have you watched the movie Flow, which won Best Animated Feature yesterday? You should watch the movie Flow.
You need help, Murph?
I will.
Here you go.
I watched it, and Maxine sat on my coffee table and watched like the first 20 minutes. She sat there and watched
She's
Flow
like, who?
She's like,
right.
Because of the animal noises in it, because there's no dialogue, they don't have the animals speaking, they just make noises. And so there's a cat who meows, and then there's a capybara, and then there's a lemur. And honestly, like it's one of the 2 Oscar nominated movies I watched. So I haven't seen any. I watched A Real Pain because it's on Hulu, and I watched Flow. But anyway, always let the cat in. Always. Is the message
always
because my cats, I can't close my cats out of here. So
I've been trying to find real information on the FAA potential contract shift from Verizon's fiber optic system to Starlink.
Well, good.
And, right.
So more planes can fall out of the sky while Pete Hegseth drinks in front of the press.
Yeah.
Did you see that? He was totally taking a shot in front of the press. It's fine. He's
really?
drunk. It's okay. He sipped from a glass that was like this big and then this full of a brown liquid, and you can't tell me it was apple juice. So
sure, right? Yeah, it's iced tea. I prefer it.
That's how
lukewarm.
People drink iced tea. They drink it in little shots like that because that slakes your thirst immediately. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of may and might around this conversation, might and possibly. The issue that they have is that Verizon already has the contract. It's a $2.4 billion contract. And the cost of the contract is not going to go down if you shift to Starlink. So the idea that you're even saving money is dumb. Secondly, it's untested. So you have to go through this period of fiber optic is hardwired. Starlink is not. And if something happens, if the Chinese decide to just start shooting Starlink satellites out of the sky, which wouldn't be that difficult, then what? Then what happens to all your airplanes? And then you don't have a fallback because Starlink does not have access to a fiber optic backup the way Verizon does. Verizon can use satellites and that because they have both. But the other thing too is that once they do it, how do you not have lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit of like non-competition clauses, like Halliburton, anybody? I mean, Jesus Christ. Like this is not the first time we've been to this fucking rodeo.
No, I'd also like to know the thought process behind firing FAA employees, laying off air traffic controllers. How does that make sense?
Yeah,
how does that make our skies safer? It doesn't.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
And so, here's what it is, and this is, I think, the root of all of it. Let's be abundantly clear that they are not using AI or some sort of super smart first principles algorithm or mentality to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse and bad, people pulling a paycheck for doing no work from the federal government. They are looking at anybody who was hired in the last 4 years and then looking right next to them and seeing if there's a W or if there's something that indicates they are anything but white, and assuming that those people have to be DEI hires, that's what qualifies, right? That's what they're assuming. There's no question. They are just going, because that's how they're firing people. They're not firing them based on like bad, multiple bad quarterly report findings. They're not firing people from, maybe, I don't know. They may be firing people that were hired during Obama who are minorities or women, but not the ones under Trump, because assuming they must have been merit-based because he wouldn't hire them otherwise, right? But they're using a time base hired between this date and this date. They are a woman or they are a person of color. They must have been hired simply because of those reasons. You're fired. That was it. This is a database search and putting a check next to somebody. This is not some like high order thinking. There's no depth to any of this shit. Yeah.
Super.
So
thanks, Maga. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Nice going.
Fucking
nice going
brilliant. Now
Thank
imagine
you for making
this.
us pay for your cult bullshit. Okay. Anyway.
Say somebody retires and they are white or white non-Hispanic or Hispanic and list themselves as white, whatever those categories would be. And that person retires, and the person who was working under them moves up into their position because that's how hierarchies work, and they know the job, and they recommend this person, and the person comes up and they're terrific and whatever, but that person is black or a woman or disabled or something like that. They're going to take this person who is equal to the person leaving, who's been there forever, and fire them and replace them with someone who is brand new right out of an academy if they can find them. Because, I mean, he's posting for jobs on Twitter. Like, we need some smart air traffic controllers. You guys should think about doing it.
I've fired the ones you had, you fucking moron.
I know a guy who I met, what was it, 3 weeks ago now, who has literally just gotten like all of his education paid for. And he's getting a job. He is going to be a flight controller. He's being hired by the FAA. He's been in this process. He's Hispanic. He's from, his family's originally from, I think, Venezuela or Guatemala, but he's their third generation. They've been here for a long time. He's American as anybody else. And, he's not like immigrant is farther back in their picture than even, Trump's Russian oligarch buddies who come over here for their anchor babies. So,
right.
But he's getting his entire education paid for by the taxpayer, and he is getting moved to an air traffic control tower where he's got to work for basically 2 years before he moves to a big, busy tower, right? Before he moves to any place where the shortages are actually a real problem, right? Mm-hmm. He's going to be in fucking, I don't know, Idaho or Iowa or something like that, working on their place, which has way fewer flights and is only open 9 hours a day to learn. To figure it the fuck out and develop a relationship with pilots and figure, because there's a shit ton of reasons why it isn't just, you're not just parking fucking cars. You're not a valet for airplanes. These are large vehicles dealing with weather and wind shears and snow and ice and all kinds of shit in high traffic areas that are full of hundreds of souls that get lost when
people who care at the helm and people who are experienced,
exactly,
and people who can stay level-headed, people who hopefully aren't doing shots of whiskey while they're doing their job. I don't,
by the way,
none of this makes sense. None
of
what they're doing.
By the way,
okay.
Tesla has just dropped like $10 or like in the last couple of hours.
Has been tanking. There have been massive protests.
I pointed it out earlier, but
across the country, there was a massive protest in New York at the Tesla showroom. They've had protests here in Portland at the Tesla showrooms. Basically, now if you see a Tesla, it's like, why are you driving a Nazi mobile? Why are you driving a swastika car?
Yeah, the lowest point it hit was 277. This was, when was this? Like a week ago. This is hold on. This is last Friday, basically.
So if you're a Tesla board member, how fast do you advocate for cutting loose Elon, because he's the one dragging them down?
Well, it bounced up over, when is that fucking date? When is it? 227? Yeah, so 227, 228. Yeah, so Friday.
So Thursday and Friday.
And it barks up over the weekend. People are like, okay, it's definitely hit bottom. Let's throw some money into it. And I look at some of these like Tesla fanboy accounts on YouTube and watch how they're kind of like they're just vomiting copium down the mouths of every Tesla investor who thinks Elon's a genius as the stock eats shit. And they were all like, this is got to be the bottom. This is going to be a huge turnaround. This happens on a regular thing because people have a problem with them, and then everybody comes home like, nope. There's no reason to come home. Europe's not coming home. Nobody on our side of the aisle is buying a Tesla unless they're buying it used. And by the way, if you're going to buy a Tesla, buy a used one. It's better for the environment. You're not buying a new car, that kind of stuff. And then peel that little T off there and put another little symbol on there. Put a fucking Bernie head sticker or whatever the shit you want. Right? Just cover it up.
A little picture of Kamala Harris.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Kamala and Hillary and Nancy Pelosi. Just put all three of them on the back of
that. That's right. But it's hitting 288 right now.
Ooh.
And yeah, which is $11 higher than its bottom. When it was over 300, it was a whisker near 302, and everybody's like, they were salvaging it this weekend. They were like, oh, and this one woman who's like a huge Tesla, fan account, does all this like investor advice for people who love Tesla and da-da-da-da. She just put right before this hit, right at the, right after the inauguration, half her 401k in Tesla stock. She has lost at least a quarter of her net worth and her 401k gone. In the last month, in a month, and the thing is, there's no reason for it to come back, and this is the awakening. So there's a lot of places to put your money in the stock market that might rebound, right? That if anytime there's a dip or people taking money out of it, that there's ways that it'll come back up. Because people always throw it into Coca-Cola when some shit's hitting the fan or whatever, right? You buy stuff that everybody buys, whatever, and I'm sure it works, and that's why the stock market is always as rough as it is. If you squint and lean way back and look at it over 100 years, it goes nowhere but up at a reasonable incline. But there's always countermeasures, stocks that while it goes up have been eating shit and in history just never recover. And Tesla is one of those stocks, kids. There is no reason why Tesla is as expensive as it is as a stock price, or why it's worth that. I don't even think it pays dividends. I don't know that it's a dividend stock. I think it's just it's meant to be like a, let's see, ex-dividend date. Yeah, nope, doesn't apply. Forward dividend and yield, nothing. NA, not applicable. So you don't even get a dividend if it does well. You just have to hope some dumbass will buy it from you. Right. Well, the idea is that you would, in any of these, you would invest in it, watch it go up, and then when you're ready to leave, it's made money because they took your money and they invested it in the company, and they made the company grew, and the company is more profitable, and by the time you sell the stock, it's more valuable to the person who buys it, and that they see a future in it. That's how all stock investment goes, in theory. Except for day traders who are basically fucking coke-snorting, gambling assholes from the Wolf of Wall Street and all that shit who want to destroy companies for sport. Yeah, like The Big Short. But Tesla itself, I don't know why, like what it's fucking for now. If you alienate Democrats and people who care about the environment, who are your main audience for your car,
right,
and then.
And Republicans hate EVs.
Right. And what else are you going to do?
Who's left?
Right.
It'll be a very small subset of Elon fanboys. I think that's
yeah.
probably all who's left. And you have the ugliest, the Space Pinto, the Cybertruck. Anybody driving one of those just deserves all of the mocking. You get in one of those, you just look so ridiculous. And now when I see a Tesla, all I think is Nazi. It's the equivalent. It already was the equivalent of a red hat before the election, but it really is now. So it's it's up to you. Like there are way better EVs out there for you to get. Way
totally.
Better. Way better.
Way better. And new ones all the time.
Not connected
if I
to
may,
any kind of Nazi or anything. Like that.
Let me show you this real quick. This is a great example of just the delusion around this and the kind of like habitual response to these things. Okay, look at the article on this. Tesla stock gains as Morgan Stanley calls EV maker its top pick for U.S. autos. That sounds fantastic.
Oy.
Until you look at this little guy right here. See that?
What does that say? What does that say?
That says negative 135, negative 137, 1.37. It's going down. This is today. This is a minute read from this morning. They announced it this morning, and the stock went down. And the reason they were like, it's the future of it's because they're surrounded by douchebags and they see the number of outlets they've got, they've got inventory and people want to buy electric cars and blah blah blah.
But you would think Morgan Stanley would be smarter in picking.
You would
a company because it's been tanking for a while. So
unless they're trying to pump and dump their way out of it. Morgan Stanley has told its investors that it was good, and they try one last shot of like, yeah, it's the shit, and people are like, oh, it's the shit, and so they buy into it for a day, and then their guys get out losing less than they would have if they just sit there and watch it crater. That's the problem with some of these big organizations. When they buy and sell, people follow it, and people recognize like, oh, they're getting out, I'm getting out, and that tanks the price. And if you've told your investors it was a good idea 6 months ago, and then it's eating shit now, you're on the fucking hook. And so that's what's happening. Yeah, that's what's happening to a lot of these folks. Now, there has been
So there it is.
Right. There has been like a bunch of drops and shit like this. And I mean, I don't really follow stocks all that much.
No,
but this is not what you, the red stuff is not what you want to see if you're going to give a talk. And by the way, can I just show you something? This is crude oil. This is the price of crude oil. Price of crude oil is down to $68.25. Okay. There is no reason to go, if you're an oil company, and start new leases and new drilling if oil is trading this close to the floor. If it costs you $65 to get it out of the fucking ground, and you can only make $3.25 on a barrel, what are you going to do with that $3.25? Pay some of your investors so they don't leave you high and dry and go, I'm getting out of this. This is a dead end street and I'm putting my money elsewhere, which would fuck you on the national, or the international in the international marketplace. Well, you're certainly not going to take it and go drilling so that you can produce more oil so the price can go down further. What are you talking about? That look, when oil prices go down, typically, it takes about 3 to 6 months for gas prices to follow. I have said last year that there was going to be an oil glut this year because China is not using nearly as much oil as people thought they were going to. And there's going to be there'll be a 1.5 million barrels excess a day over world need by the fall, which will drive the price down.
Everyone should listen to you. That's just the way it goes. Everyone should just listen to you because you know so much about stuff that people don't pay attention to, but you do, and you understand it, and you explain it all good in the way that you do, and it makes it easier for people to understand. Seriously, this is why. Well, this is why we're here, though. I mean, we talk about the stuff that the media doesn't talk about, and the cool thing is that you have the opportunity, we have the opportunity when we do these shows is to interact with real people who have real issues or really being impacted by what's happening. So there's got to be people in the chat who are already feeling this shit financially, who are worried about, the coming months, how they're going to feed their families and gas up their cars and keep a roof over their heads the way that the economy is already tanking under Trump because it's a deliberate act. What they're doing is deliberate. They are trying to make life harder for us. They are doing all of this on purpose. It's why they're passing bills in the middle of the night to make the rich people richer and the poor people poorer. If you make more than $360,000 a year, congratulations. You're going to save money on taxes because you're going to get a great big tax cut. If you make less than $360,000 a year, guess what? Your taxes are going up. Bottom line, that's what's happening. That's what's happening that the media is not telling you about. And that goes hand in hand with watching the markets tank because it's fear. They are worried about all of this shit and all of this chaos. And that's all part of their plan to make sure everybody's fucking freaking out. What are you going to do? I mean, it's insanity. We're way over, I know. But I mean, there's so many things that people who call themselves patriots claim to want, but they're not acting like patriots. They're acting like the Russian assets that they are to further an
Right.
agenda from a foreign dictator. And this is
That's
all
right.
tied up in it. All of this is tied up in it. That's why I wore the Hamilton shirt today, by the way. Wore the
I
Hamilton
see.
shirt, which I don't know if everyone can see it, but it's the Schuyler
Mhm.
sisters. And if you've never seen or listened to Hamilton, the reason I'm bringing it up is because I'm seeing it on Thursday night. And the tour's coming back to Portland, and I'm going to get to see it for the third time. And so I've been revisiting Hamilton. If you want to feel fucking patriotic as hell, listen to
Mhm.
Hamilton. Okay, now obviously they take plenty of artistic license, but the bottom line is that they talk
And it is a
about
little
how,
bit anti-gay.
I
The original.
mean,
The king was
well,
presented as a gay fop, and it wasn't an
well,
accident.
no, yeah,
And Lee
well,
Manuel, no,
and he's
threw a
kooky.
lot of like,
Yes.
like he's a sissy, he's gay shit at the, at the
Well, it's
king
just
as the reason why he was bad,
the madness of King George. But I mean, at the same time,
which they
it
equated to
lays.
being gay.
Okay, fine, but that wasn't my point. My point
Yes,
is, this is not what the founders intended. We're not supposed to have kings, right? We talked
Nope.
about that last week with the Schoolhouse Rock. And go watch Hamilton. I mean, specifically, the Battle of Yorktown segment when we won, and we won
Mhm.
finally won our freedom, and what it took to get there, and the threats from the king are very similar to the threats that we hear from Trump, which is, and like, there's the first time you see the king in the show, he's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you can't leave me. You promised
Right.
to be, you promised me loyalty. And one of the things that he sings is like, soon you'll see, you'll come crawling back to me. And the end is, but when push comes to shove, I will kill your friends and family to remind you of my love. That's what's happening.
Right.
They're trying to actively kill us for I don't know why. So that's if you've never read, I've never participated,
Yeah.
never seen it. It's on Disney Plus. You can download it on your music app and just listen to it, because it's all about the American experiment and creating this country and why
Yeah.
our independence matters. And so I would say, anybody who's on the Republican side, this is not what you voted for. It's
Mm-mm.
not. Okay.
Here's the other thing. I'm gonna leave this out there. Yeah.
Okay.
I want to remind everybody, get a hold of Tara's book, The Sound of Settling. Buy it, have it on your shelf, read it. Yep, TaraDublinRocks.com.
Sign
Also,
up for Substack, TaraDublin.substack.com, and maybe even decide to upgrade to the $10 a month version. Forfeit your Starbucks and your Monster Energy drink for a month, and just because our voices need we need the support. Like I just paid rent. I don't know about you, but there's tumbleweeds in my bank account because there's not a lot of opportunity for political voices. But on the Political Voices Network, we have that. So you need to sign up for all of this stuff.
Yep.
Anyway, take us home, Hal.
Yeah. So a couple of things. Yes, sign up for those. The new round of political speakers and news gatherers like myself and Tara and Boston Brian and Texas Paul and
Tara Devlin,
Cliff,
my co-host for the Tara
yeah,
Show.
Tara Devlin and Cliff Schechter and that crowd. We are
Bob
doing
Seska.
Bob Seska, absolutely. And we're doing our due diligence about this stuff, and we seem to be doing more deep dives on this information than anybody in, with the rare exception. There are some people at the New York Times and people at the Washington Post who haven't forgotten how to do their jobs and are managing to do it in spite of everything else, and it's great. But their stuff is being relegated, and it's our job to bring it to the surface. When they are able to do good work, we can show it to the world. Later on this afternoon, I'm going to be talking about the fact that, if you'll recall from my time in China, one of the things that I found most striking, and this is before COVID, was how few people I saw. When I was in China, if you've ever been to Times Square, if you've ever been to 3rd Street Promenade in LA on a Saturday, if you've ever been to a music festival, or you've walked around downtown San Francisco on a particularly warm day, there is no way you could put your arms out to the sides and walk down the street without smacking somebody. And these are cities that maximum have 6 to 7 million people in the entire outlying area, their entire county, not downtown, their entire county. And yet there are towns in China that allegedly have, like Chongqing, 35 million people, more than the entire population of Australia. This is what we've been told about Chongqing. And I personally, before COVID, went down and filmed for this travel show I was doing in the high traffic shopping districts to show the wonders of Chongqing and the stories that you could do there. And I could walk around all those areas no matter. I was there 3 times in 2 days, morning, evening, and morning, afternoon, and evening. And I could put my arms out and walk through and not touch anybody in a city that allegedly has 35 million people in a space smaller than Portland. So
where were they? Where were all the people?
So I brought that up when I came back. I said, I think the number of people in China is closer to 800 million. This is when I was coming back. And I talked about this before COVID. There are a series of videos that have been coming out that are from Chinese people. Where is everybody? They keep doing these where is everybody videos. And it is looking increasingly like the death toll from COVID is not near the 20 to 30 or 50 million people that I have spoken of, but closer to 200, perhaps even as high as 400, meaning that during COVID, China lost more people than the entire population of the United States of America. And so the concept of oil and resources that China's going to buy and therefore build up the world economy. They're going to buy from us. They're going to buy from Europe. They're going to buy from wherever. And they're going to take that money and they're going to turn it into the Belt and Road. And they're going to, make moves throughout the world. The chances of that happening were zero. And now the exact opposite is happening. We are heading into a future where it is very possible that the collapse of China is imminent and brutal to the point of millions of people starving again, like the early days of Mao.
Oh my God.
And the oil prices you're seeing and the stuff you're going to sell to the world is evaporating.
That's comforting.
Yep. Just letting you guys know, I'm going to talk about that later on in the show this afternoon. But the number I said when I came back that there were, somewhere between, 800. I thought the lowest number could be 600. According to the Chinese, there's 1.4 billion. According to Donald Trump, there's 1.4 billion. According to the World Bank, the WEF, the Russians, the Japanese, and like one of the UN figures, it's closer to 600. And that would mean that if their numbers were anywhere close to true, they lost 400 million people minimum from COVID and since.
I can't even fathom that amount of people.
Right.
Yeah. You
don't weld people into their apartments if you lose 4,000 or 60,000, whatever the number you believe. Nobody does that. Nobody welds people into their apartment buildings with a disease if you've only lost 4,000 in a country of 1.4 billion. You wouldn't even give a fuck. You wouldn't even notice. It'd be like the number of people who die of flesh-eating bacteria in the United States every year is like 13 or something. And it's terrible, and we should do something about it. And we try, and we put money and allocate it, but we don't shut all the beaches in freshwater lakes in the country every time it happens because the number is so small and the chances are so small and all that kind of stuff. Statistically, that's what you'd have to believe about the number of people that have died in China, according to them. Statistically, it's fucking impossible. Which means the world population, there is going to be a contraction in the economy, no matter what anybody does. That Trump is going to be tariffing nothing.
Yeah.
And that increasingly is going to be the story over the next little bit. And there's no way around it. The only thing I think Trump and his crowd are hoping for is that the Chinese economy and the government itself collapses, and you could zero out the debt we owe them. Just go, well, we used to own it to the People's Republic of China or the CCP, but they don't exist anymore. So
great. Right? All right. Well, what an
that's what they're hoping for.
Note to end on.
Hey, it's what I try to do.
Hey.
But that is a realistic number, unfortunately,
well, keep an eye out for, and then you'll all remember that you heard it from Hal first.
Yeah, God
So
damn, because it's
that's
going to
why
start growing as a
that's why
conversation
supporting
point.
independent media matters more than
Is
ever, because
super
that's a
important.
truth that you're not going to hear anywhere else.
Nope.
Who's
You're not
going to
going to
talk
hear
to you
this
about that?
loosely in conversation online or anywhere else. You're not going to hear it. So anyways, Tara, thank you so much. Thanks for
Thank
sticking
you,
over. I started the
guys.
show a little later than usual, so I appreciate you sticking
Keep
around. Don't
supporting
forget the
each
sound
other,
settling.
and we'll see you guys soon.
TaraDublinRocks.com.
See you
Excellent.
Thursday on the Tara Show.
I insist. Okay, and
Bye.
there she goes, and we'll publish this guy, and off she goes. Hi, everybody. A serious conversation point at the tail end, but a valuable one. I hope you guys recognize it isn't just how sad that is, which it absolutely is. On the human level, it is an extraordinary story and possibility that they've lost that many people in China. Even if half that is true, which I would argue is well within the realm of possibility. Even if half of that is true, it's an extraordinary loss of human life. But it's also the ancillary economic impacts of the loss of that many human beings in short order will have a roll-on effect to all the economies of the world, to in areas that Trump and Musk and his crowd cannot even grasp. That said, let's see. Let me go into here with the chat real quick and have you guys join me. And I will see you guys this afternoon for, let's see, and this, how about this? In here. I feel like this should be in this one. No, it'll be on here. We'll just start here. I will see you guys this afternoon. And by the way, hit the like, share the show, patreon.com/HalSparks. Thank you guys for supporting the show and helping us exist. And I'll see you later today. Fingers crossed if everything works. What am I supposed to do? I don't know. Oh wait, I've got to do a little setup at the end too. This here. There we go. I think it needs a title though. That's what I think.
Captain's log. All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
Listen, Betty, don't start off with your white zone shit again.
Bring out today!
I think there's some kind of deviated privilege.
You're looking good.
Kentucky Fried Idiot.
It's not Irish. It's not English.
Oh, yeah. Fair development kindness for the horses, you know.
It's just, well, it's just piking.
I am a HAL 9000 computer.
Wah-wah-wee-wah!
Something strange happened to me this morning.
Was it a dream where you see yourself standing in sort of sun god robes on a pyramid with 1,000 naked women screaming and throwing little pickles at you?
No.
Why am I the only person that has that dream?